Okay,
Tell them to get on the phone and talk to us.
what we can at least do is start to entertain questions that people may have from the spreadsheets themselves. Less emphasis, obviously, on future years, but feel free to ask any questions about the future years. Before we concentrate on 2026, but I want to be able to make sure everyone is at least comfortable with understanding the spreadsheets and recognizes or has some inkling of what the projects are all about.
Could you, the potato road thing, I guess. It puts it over 150,000 in cash, but they said here that, FEMA hazard mitigation and FEMA CIP for a grant. Do we know how much of it, how much?
We're not going to get a grant for Potato Road.
So it won't get done.
Well, no, it may,
Right.
but, as far as a grant is concerned, it's not going to be eligible for a grant.
Right.
It was considered too large a project for them to grant all the money for it.
Too large of
And-
a potato?
Too large of a
Yes.
potato, exactly, big russet.
Yeah.
So Jim tried to break it down, but they were not going to hear of it.
Oh,
So
really?
what he has done is identified what is called culvert number 2, which is the one which is just before you get to the Canaan line. And it's really a box culvert. With current staff, he is optimistic that he can self-perform much of that work and will actually cut down on that budget dramatically, potentially by a third.
Yeah.
If he can self-perform it. Now, the only thing with self-performance is how do we fare through the winter, assuming we have no disasters townwide? And, if things stay intact, then he'd be able to self-perform that project. And we're talking at least a third less than the budget.
I'll update that note so that it doesn't get
Yeah.
confusing.
I'm sorry, what?
I'll update the note on the funding
Oh, okay.
source.
All right, because I was just curious about that.
It's been there for probably 5 years. And just, we kept kicking it out because we weren't gonna do it unless we got the FEMA grant.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And
And why it was so expensive is if you get a FEMA grant, it becomes more expensive because you have to use outside design and all of that.
Okay.
It becomes,
Becomes much more expensive.
it's like the
it
Shaker,
does.
Shaker Boulevard Bridge. It's replacing a bridge that cost $75,000 because we put it in ourselves.
Oh, we put that bridge in by ourselves?
Oh, yeah,
The
We-
bridge which was wiped out by the
Oh, I
storm.
know
Right.
that, but I
Yeah.
didn't know we
yeah, we put.
regenerated.
Yeah, that
all
was a self-performed
that was
project.
I know they put a big concretes in there because,
Right,
because where the water had washed out the sides and
Right.
I don't know if they have to replace that or not.
Well, what happened was that the federal government came along to the state after the storm, whose name I never remember because they blend together. But, and offered to replace,
Was it Irene?
I think it may have been Irene.
yeah,
Yeah.
But, money from the federal government to the state offered to replace the bridge, which was speculated to be somewhere in the area of $1 million plus. And the town share would be,
200K, the 20%,
even yeah, but then it dropped
right,
to $33,000.
Right.
So as a select board, we approved $33,000 and said, this is like a lottery. We bet $33,000 and we win 1 million.
right,
Numbers have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
The numbers are now higher.
Yeah,
On your spreadsheet, you can
1.75,
see
I
it,
think.
yeah.
well, it's 2.08 thousand,
Oh, wow.
but the match has increased to about 95,000.
Okay.
But the match is spread over 3 years, some in 25, some in 26, and some in 27. Primarily, the town will be paying for the engineering costs.
Right.
And then they will go ahead and do it. It's still quite a very good deal.
But my understanding, we have to pay all of it before we get any of it back.
Not the $2 million.
No?
No, we'd only have to pay the share.
Okay, all right.
It is, but the
Good
reason
deal.
we don't have to pay it, but what'll likely happen is we'll wind up paying it because it's mostly for engineering.
Yeah.
And so the engineering would have to be complete before they can bid the project out.
Okay,
But it still makes a pretty good deal to replace a one-lane bridge with a two-lane bridge. Although
we can sell
admittedly, and we can sell that, which is a Bailey Bridge. For speculated anywhere from $25,000 to $50,000.
So. I think we had a good overview last time of all the projects. My main concern is. Too much too early,
what,
Too much,
too much.
too early.
What-
2026,
yeah.
2026, 27, 28. There's too much.
Yeah.
It is a heavy burden on. The balance.
Yeah.
I know that a way to solve this is to loan. But I'd rather see us figure out. What can wait until the 28, 29 timeframe. To spread this all out a little bit and even it out. And my main, I know it's awarded, so. But a big part of, half of the cash used in 27 is that walk a mile
Right,
grant
Yeah.
match.
are you talking about public works projects?
And no.
yeah, this is more,
He's on admin at the moment.
The whole thing.
yeah,
And so, because, if you look at the predicted balance, it gets pretty darn low.
Yeah.
In
Oh, yeah.
26, 27, 28.
yeah,
Um. We should not be asking to change the whole nickel
right,
deal unless there's a really, really good.
Really,
reason
really good.
we
I have
need to
a
do that.
couple of things to add. I know that Ed had talked about the walk a mile. While we have, our share was 413,000
Yes.
plus. A lot of things can be like donations
Right,
in kind and that sort of thing. So that number will come down.
but
this-
not by 300.
by
Oh,
much.
well, no, but it's part of it.
Right.
And another piece is the crack sealer, which Ed had,
The what?
the crack sealer under
Right.
public
Oh,
work
yep, yep,
is
right.
number 23 on public works. Moving that out
yeah.
to some future date.
My other worry is the 2.5 million probably will end up being 3 million with the way things have been going.
You mean the bridge or
No, the walk a mile,
the walk a mile?
and I'm sorry, there's a
It's-
difference between a need and a want.
Yeah.
And
And
I
that's
don't
a
even
want.
this, I don't
No-
even
no
think this reaches the standard of a want.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know if people actually want it. Because my feeling is, it's a sidewalk to nowhere.
Yeah.
And nobody's gonna walk it. There's gonna be 12 people that walk it as if they're walking a trail.
Right.
I have a similar feeling about the walk a mile. I mean, I don't think we wanna get involved in that while we have all these other, the $10 million that we have to pay for and taxes on that. I don't think we wanna do,
Yeah.
it's a nice to have, not
Right.
Not a need to have.
need,
Yeah.
not a want
Fair enough.
even, or maybe a want, but not definitely have to have.
That's gonna be a
Because it's
full
a-
year's deposit.
And
That
it's
we're putting into
500
CIP.
Cash, right?
Yeah,
And it,
Or in kind.
and you have to pay cash, but you
However-
can't finance it,
Yeah,
which means you're gonna finance, instead of that, you're gonna be financing 3 trucks. Cause that's what it'll end
it'll
up.
force you
being.
to finance other needs.
Right, it's gonna be
So
3 trucks, because you've gotta have a hard asset. If you're financing as collateral.
If we step back from the walk a mile for a second, I had a similar thought as what Dimitri said. And I was trying to get some context, because right now it looks like we have heavy spend in 26, 27. It goes down a bit in 28, and then goes down significantly in 29 and 30. How does the 830 in cash suggested to be spent in 26, how does that compare to the last 5 years roughly? I don't need an exact number,
It's
but
about 100,000 more than we allocated in 2025, which was in the 700,000 range.
and then how did 25
And
compare?
that was high.
That was
That
higher
was
than
higher.
that.
And 25 was about 200,000 more than 24,
24.
but
Usually $500,000.
It's usually
Yeah,
half a million, now we're looking at 830.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it is great.
That's a big, that's a
Yeah.
big number.
So
It is very traditional for us to,
Start there.
move things forward on the calendar. I won't use the oft ill phrase about kicking the can, but it is that is a procedure which we've frequently done every year,
Right.
is looked at
Right.
projects and said, not this year, maybe next, but
Right.
maybe the following.
But in none of our
In other words, not
conversations
eliminate them
about
completely.
deferred maintenance now, it's about
Right.
future projects.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a question also of, projects, if they need engineering now, well, then that's something to look at as well, because we may postpone that aspect of things.
Right.
Now, I will tell you, however, that on the Walk a Mile, a lot of engineering has already been done.
Mhm.
We have seen those plans, nowhere near enough to build with, but it is engineering that has been accomplished. So that it identified it as being a engineering wise feasible project.
So we had a conversation today, Tracy, about a bottoms up approach and a top down
Yes.
approach. If we were coming into this evening in this whole process, looking at a top down approach, what would our target number be? If it's not 830, do we have a target number in mind? Is it closer to 700? Is it
Well, in my mind, it's closer to what you put in.
to what you put in?
Yeah.
That's a bottoms up exercise. I'm looking at a top down exercise. If we were to say,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
yeah, we're to
Right.
step back and look at this strategically as opposed to tactically. What is the number that we think is above the right range? We can get into the why, we could spend hours talking about that, but in our head, what is the number projection fleet for this year?
The cash, that cash number.
Yeah,
The cash number for
Well,
this
it was
year,
seven last year.
the projected number for this year is 605,568.
where do you get that?
The last sheet you had.
Yeah.
The last sheet,
Right,
funding CIP, CRF, nickel a year, 26,200 as the contribution and the increase in
Right.
contribution.
I,
And so in 26, we would put in $605,568.
I view that as top down, right?
That would be top down.
right.
Yes.
I wanna end up, I want my savings account next year to have as much money in it as this year.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Okay, so it's just something to keep in mind. I'm not.
Well, you're
No, no, that's a,
Here, but-
The other thing to look at, you're dropping your debt service by $50,000 this year.
right,
It's gonna
Yeah.
drop from 209 to 167.
right.
Now, if you say, okay, we're gonna finance something, then that would bring that probably back up to the 200,000,
right.
$500,000,
So
10 years.
the other thing is, we're not spending 830 from CIP,
No,
it's
Right.
575.
Right.
So if you look on the summary, it includes what is going to water and sewer and whatever TBD is.
To be
to
determined.
be determined.
It might be taxes, it might be CIP.
It might not happen.
I know there was one project that we had in that category that it would have to be decided.
And so,
It could be TIF.
You could, well, yeah,
Some things could. So generally, we do that.
I would
Okay.
aim to, let's at least not go down in the balance.
right.
You
It
know,
makes sense to keep
Well,
an
yeah.
eye on the balance and not try to depreciate.
right,
There's other things there. I doubt that,
And
I doubt you're gonna do anything with Chicoma redesign. Seeing as you guys said you're gonna wait 2 years to figure out what Chicoma Beach was gonna be.
well, that money, that 25,000 is engineering.
Well, yeah, but you can't,
And,
I guess what I'm saying is you can't engineer something if you haven't made the decision that you're actually gonna be doing something there. Cause you said you're gonna wait 2 years. The select board said, we're gonna wait 2 years and see who's actually using it and stuff like that.
I guess I'd ask to have that recollection. I don't
I
specifically.
don't specifically remember that either. I know
Yeah.
that there was talk of doing a shoreline permit for both the boat launch and
Right.
the beach at the same time to save money, which is why
Okay.
the select board has called it now the Chacoma Recreation Area.
We
So it's
combined under one
one-
title, both
Okay,
sides of the street. I guess I just don't have a
What-
specific memory of the select board giving an indication to push it out. And that's a very good question.
Yeah.
Which we can certainly pose and get a consensus. I do know that there's some strong public support for improvements based on safety. The chief of police has come out with some items that he feels are relatively high priority for the safety approach to the beachside elements in terms of, traffic control as well as pedestrian control. He's expressed some concerns about people leaving the road and going down the beach in a car, by
Oh, I'm
accident.
sorry, I'm at the wrong place.
Where are you?
I was on Johnson Ave.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. And so
Okay,
the idea
That's
of the
okay.
25,000 for Shakoma Beach is engineering
right,
for two things, actually. It is those safety designs.
Right.
That are coming up and identifying what kind of a
Okay.
signal would we have. It would obviously be something similar to what we have in the elementary school.
right.
Press and lights would come on, for example, as we have at the elementary school.
And the wash.
And then bollards or something across the front of the top of the beach so that
Right.
somebody can't accidentally go and wind up hurting someone. And clearly identifying the pedestrian path from the parking lot above, across the road.
Part of that is part of Walk a Mile. Ed has a couple of comments.
Right.
Walk the mile number, I know.
So it becomes kind of the first aspect of that, but the one with the need priority.
Could I add just one thing? As part of the Mascoma Watershed Management Plan?
Yeah.
We'll be talking this week about areas that have been identified as contributing significant.
And that is one.
stormwater, and that is one.
That is one. The beach, stormwater runoff down the beach. Because it's a sandy beach.
Yeah.
Whenever it, even on a normal rain, sand goes in the lake. So it is a storm runoff issue, and the state has designs for tiered beaches. Essentially, you come down with sand, then you have a little drop, then you come down with sand, then you, excuse me, the other way around. Come down, have a little bump, come down, then a little bump. So you block the runoff. And it's done by a number of ways. It's done with stone, it's done with timbers, it's done with precast concrete. It's done a number of design ways to create not a smooth runoff all the way down the beach, but it's tiered, it's stepped to block the runoff from going directly into the lake. Which right now, if you walk down there, you can look out 20 feet and see sand. And it came from the beach. On a clear day, like today, when there's no boat traffic or anything, you go down there and look out, and it's sandy out there for 20 or 25 feet. It's not supposed to be, And the other one, on the other side of the street, not a need as much as a desire, is to simply make that a more approachable landing. There have been a few
I think it needs.
concerns about,
construction Or a little.
it needs a little bit
Construction's the right word.
more of a ramp type thing.
Rehabilitation.
Yeah, when they put it in, it was great, but it's bumped. And it's tough to launch or pull out of it.
So
I'd like
Jill, you had
to,
a question?
yeah, well, actually, I don't have a question so much as a comment. To Dan and Dimitri's point, if we're to plow through these, and some of us, me, are not as familiar with all of them as maybe other people, I really would like to kick it back to the department heads, if appropriate, and ask them to really prioritize these projects.
Right.
Because I might have my own opinion, and it's gonna be a damn good one, right? Cause it's mine, but I'd really like the department heads to really stake a claim and say, this is what's our top priority for this town. Now, we could disagree on this committee,
Yeah.
but without their guidance, it's tough for me to see what needs to be
We
done.
can certainly ask the chief, who's now the safety director, to come back and identify his needs. We can certainly ask Jim Taylor to come back and
That
more
has
clearly
already
identify
been
his.
Part of what they've done.
Part of
It's
last
not
week's
the
presentation was an
the
attempt to
entire
thin things
plan.
out a little bit.
Some things that, probably there need to come out. There's some engineering. do you
Ed
have
has a couple,
engineering?
I'm interrupting.
Yeah, on 18.
Ed has a
He
few.
has a few things.
We have, is Ed with us?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He's been leaving notes.
Via read,
Here, let's
Oh,
go.
it's written, excuse me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We'll start with,
I feel like-
we don't want to
great.
continue to build the CIP, but CIP.
Yes.
Can we print these after the
Um,
meeting?
Yes.
It's also, you can get the chief back, but there's nothing there really.
Oh, there's
It's
nothing,
26,
there's really
27.
nothing for.
Yeah,
There's
there's
nothing
nothing for Roy really, I guess, right now.
Work
but
is the big
It's mostly
one.
public works.
I think that when Ed is here, he
Right,
can
so-
probably address it.
But it makes a good point that you see at the paragraph there, the
Yeah.
erosion at Shakoma Beach,
Right,
as I just mentioned, is a key
yeah,
item that we need to look at for that reason.
And same way, like you said, right, matching inflows and outflows.
Matching
Right,
inflows,
yeah, so
Yeah,
the savings account, but maintaining
yeah,
Yeah.
matching
You
inflows
need
and
a
outflows
cushion.
make a lot of
Some
sense.
days, some years it's gonna be a little high, some years it needs to be a
Right.
little low.
Right.
We have to balance it out.
And so when looking at the numbers,
We have a lot more.
Yeah, I'm
to go
gonna-
through. You wanna read them all first? So,
it's fun, Shakoma Beach and.
oh, what's, I mean, if you look at public works, you're only talking 450,000 coming out of CIP in 26.
it's what?
450,000 that's coming out of in 2026.
The CIP
could be
fund,
less.
Yeah,
You
CIP,
drop it 135,000.
right. There's only 450
Out.
coming out,
And,
Well, if you ignore the.
the six wheeler,
and
well,
the.
there's no expenses for Walk a Mile in 26.
right,
the
it's
other
out
part,
in 27.
Get through this, so I
So how do you
concentrate on
get,
other things.
to four
Bridge
hundred?
engineering,
Yaman,
So
how do you get to 400?
there's a number we don't have,
future.
the.
Public Works,
DPW
450,000.
DPW number one.
Oh, I know you are, but
I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm
Thank
saying,
you. $85,000 is not, that's gonna be the number, it can come down lower if we're just doing the salt apron. I
okay,
don't have the update, so that's gonna go down, so we're
Yeah.
more than 135,000 already coming out of 2026. And let's see,
So that'll, the whole thing.
Jim Taylor is going to thin up
Yeah.
the paving request to try to phase it in over a period of 2 or 3 years. The request for $85,000 is to cover finishing the parking lot out front here, which if you look at it, it's not done all the way over to the salt and sand sheds. And he's tried to explain his rationale for that.
Mhm.
It's erosion control,
Yeah.
storm runoff, and basically making it easier for the trucks to get in and out in the wintertime and the spring thaw. And it also included his requested for paving the driveway itself all the way down to Lock Haven. So what he'll actually be doing is identifying the different phases, and we could look at, say, just the apron, for example, in a year.
Right.
Could look at
Right.
the driveway in another year and can look at adding top. Because paving is 1.5 inches in 1 year and then 1 inch the following year, looking at top in a third or even fourth year.
So Tracy, when's the appropriate time and place to discuss that? Because I'd like to ask a few more questions.
Jim is to come up with new estimates, and he should have that by our next meeting, but we can also ask him to.
So
Dial
while
in.
he's coming up with those estimates, if there's a way to get him a couple of questions, and my questions would be, I thought I heard last week that we have an environmental issue potentially, with a lot of that salt going into a stream. If that's the case, that raises the level of priority for me. And I'd like
That
to
was-
understand how each of those 3 steps you just mentioned.
Ed
that
has
was his justification
I
for
don't know
doing
if
the
Ed
apron.
wrote anything
is
specific about
because
that.
when they're loading the trucks, the salt spills, and they
Yeah.
clean it up off of pavement, they can't clean it up off of gravel. And so.
He has raised
Pavement is
a
way
concern,
on the gravel.
which is a good reason for paving as well. It's an attempt to control the melted salt.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I might want to go all the way and say, let's do it all right now.
Well, all right now might be very complicated because it also means more than stormwater management. It could be, what are we doing with that runoff? Where are we allowing it to go?
So I guess I'm
As
asking,
opposed to trying to control
Yeah.
it.
so I'm asking if there's an opportunity to have a deeper conversation with Jim about that, I would love.
I would say that would be something that we should ask Jim to try to look at.
Okay.
And, but Ed needs to weigh in on that as well.
Yeah,
Because he has,
And you may have done
he's
that.
brought up some good notes.
We're behind on our Ed.
Yeah, so he also, there's the prior one well, which is DPW project number 15, the generator. I think it's 15.
DPW project 15.
15 generator. That would, push that out.
Jim was also looking at, the feasibility only of looking at the generator which presently exists at the former police station and whether that was of use to him at the prior well,
Which is why he would push this off.
which is why we would push it off. We don't know the answer to that question
You're
and
gonna
it
push
needs
that
to be
to
investigated.
27?
Excuse me?
Push that to 27?
It would go to 27.
So,
He's already accomplished, a marsh well generator need.
Yeah.
By using the one which was behind Whitney Hall. It used to service old Whitney Hall and it's too small for that.
so I think we should actually, I would like to not just say, what I've seen in past behaviors is we discussed the whole plan, right? We then focus on next year.
Right.
We push it to the year after, or the year after that, and then we again have the bow wave of the big number, right?
Right.
So I actually want us to go one step further this year.
Mhm.
And I want us to look at the timing of 26 and 27, because 27 is a big problem.
Right.
And just saying, oh, we won't do it this year, we'll move to 27, we're just gonna be back here next year and saying, oh my God, we want to
Yeah.
spend $1 million and we can only spend 500,000. Because somebody may go like, wait, if you want to delay my project until 28, I really can't wait that long.
Mhm.
And so I'd like us to right size at least get closer on 26 and 27, mainly because if that $400,000 happens, that's a big chunk of the annual inflow, outflow part.
Yep.
I understand people say we'll find matching things, blah, blah, blah. No offense, I've heard it before. It always ends up being a small fraction of the total.
Right.
I also don't wanna, I understand what Ed is saying on the, paying for fixing the building by using monies offset by selling other property. I think CIP should not stick their nose in that. Because there's lots of people who think the revenues from selling the property should be used to lower taxes. There's lots of people who think the police building should be sold, even though the select board has never said they would, I understand that, but
On the other side, the select board has said they won't.
I understand.
It is a
I
town
understand.
meeting vote to do that anyway, so the people will decide whether they want to use the fund balance, because all of the money goes into fund balance and then can be voted to come out of fund balance to pay for this. If
Great.
they want to.
Perfect, so then,
And it has to be on the plan, but it doesn't have to come out of the CIP funds, which is.
which is fine, so I still think it should be on the plan.
Mhm.
I think we shouldn't get involved in where does the money come from,
Right.
because that is gonna be a sensitive subject. And so because I agree, if that building is not planned to be sold, we should take care of it.
Right.
It's that simple. And so I would rather us look at agreeing with Dan rather than like chopping things up in small pieces. Like, for example, I'm gonna pick on the small number. But, the message board trailer sounds like a nice thing to have.
Yeah.
We've done without it for 20 years. I can't imagine that it is a need for the next 2 years,
Yeah.
right? And so I don't wanna pick on Jim, but I'm going to pick on Jim because it's a recurring issue. A lot of his sheets always say priority.
Mhm.
And so
Well-
to go back to what you said, I know you didn't ask him to
We're
update
gonna
it.
fix that now, but he means in the year that he was requesting it be spent, it's a priority one.
Right, but they're all in this year.
A lot of them are in this year.
Yeah.
So,
You mentioned the message board trailer, and I know there was discussion about either eliminating that or moving it out.
and so,
Some.
Or finding one that's used or less expensive,
exactly,
a piece of surplus equipment that's under $10,000, for example.
right, and so, and so going to, I'm sorry, I forgot your name,
Jill,
Going to what Jill mentioned. I like us to make a proposal. And then if the department's head go, yeah, we don't like that. But here's what we propose and the net impact is the same. By all means, have at it, right?
Mhm.
And so I would love for us to actually bring 26 and 27 down. We can use input from Ed and everybody in the room. And then if somebody says, hey, I don't like what you proposed, here's our
Right.
counter proposal, have at it, because otherwise we're kicking the can to the road to the next meeting and there's a 50-50 or higher chance we're not gonna get the answer anyway.
can we take a moment and finish his comments so that
Yeah.
I
I
can?
thought
cover-
that.
No, I'm trying to
I
get
thought
you
that
back
was
up.
it.
No, there's more. So prior, well, he's talking about pushing that out. We talked
Yeah,
about
we
that.
talked about
About that.
Where are we?
Fund the water truck in 2026. That's actually a good idea.
Where is that?
The old one.
Again, I missed that.
Yeah.
Right here, fund the water truck in 2026. That's what he's recommending.
Which one is the water truck on our spreadsheet?
75,000, that's
14.
Yes, it's 75,000, it's yellow.
13. 13, my apologies. Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
then the water truck would become a maintenance truck, which we need.
The water truck is supposed to become a maintenance truck, and that is an excellent use of it.
Right.
So the question is, if we push the water truck off, then we don't get a maintenance truck.
No, instead, in 2026.
Do the
So
cross.
he's recommending.
Oh, did I misread it?
Yeah.
He's recommending
Yeah.
doing the truck in
Doing the
26.
Doing the water truck,
Right,
which bumps the existing one over to maintenance.
right.
And then
So, and then the bridge engineering, which is $50,000, he would just take that
19.
off and bring it back when we do Spectacle Pond, which is outside of the bridge.
Line.
The bridge engineering was just trying to hear from an engineer on our priorities for certain bridges, whether it's May Street, whether it's
Bog Road.
Bog Road. We, more than imposing
Right.
the decision on our department head DPW, we just wanted to think about some civil engineering expertise coming in and helping to reprioritize those needs. That's all that was. It's not specifically engineering any one location.
Mhm.
It was trying to look at the bridge. Now, the
Civil
state
engineering.
comes along and provides an analysis of the bridges, but basically their analysis is a pass-fail.
Oh, but it's a hazard.
In essence, it's a hazard clause. For example, one of the bridges is currently rated as a high hazard, not primarily because of the failure of the bridge, or the culvert, but because of the flooding downstream if it failed.
Meaning if you fix it, it won't change anything.
Exactly. If you fix it, it won't change a thing.
Right.
Doesn't change a thing.
So
So all of the bridges, which quite frankly were originally in 25 and 26, we
Yeah.
pushed way off. And they're still off, because we really need at some point to have a little closer look at the priorities and react more closely with the genuine needs, and we haven't yet done that.
Right, so
I think we might be getting a response from Ed, so can we quickly
Oh,
get
good.
through the next couple of things so I can get down to the new stuff? So, the crack sealer,
Ed
you
should
push out or
call-
remove,
call him with his cell phone and then he can talk.
Oh, that's
that would be
good at
nice.
that.
Yeah.
I'm reading a note that says the apron, referring to the apron here at the DPW, will be at least one half the cost, but probably less, can be pushed if needed. One possibility, and this is a little bit of a top-down, is to pick a sum of money and say you can spend that. And let Jim design a paving project for that
Then
sum of money.
we take shortcuts and we're back 3 years later. We didn't do it right. We didn't put eaves on the building because you didn't give us enough money and we have to spend a whole bunch more money to put eaves on the.
So the choices are kick the paving project down the road completely and don't do anything.
Ed says that paving more will not help with the salt management. Paving the apron will help with the salt management. The driveway is
It is
not
the
as necessary.
Yeah, the driveway is not as necessary. I mean, it develops
The
potholes,
priority of
but
the two pieces
we own a
are
grader.
different.
So the only part that would have an environmental impact would be paving at the apron. And it would have both an environmental impact and a less, but important impact in the spring in terms of potholes due to thawing. We continue, of course, we have to get material out of there because it's not just salt. It's sand and gravel to patch roads in the spring. So but there again, that's a possibility of, how do you come up with that? Do you say
excuse me.
half the money?
What I don't
it sounds like-
understand is what's around the apron or down the road is mostly the sand that's sitting out there.
That's gravel.
That's what,
Right.
It's gravel.
well, I see it as sand. It looks like sand to me.
There is sand on top of the gravel, not a lot of that, frankly.
But where's
It's
the
spillage.
salt though?
right through it.
Oh, it's in it? It's mixed in it?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So Ed says,
I'm guessing he's talking about the message trailer, moving out, that
Right.
out.
Oh, the message trailer.
We was talking
well,
last
okay.
meeting about moving that out.
Yeah, I
And then
think
he has this management style.
Yeah.
some of this is the management style, Ryan. Bridges in the plan, as of right now, we do not have any state bridges that need to be repaired.
Right.
That's true. We don't have any bridges that need to be repaired in 26 or 27 or
Right.
even 28 as we now know them.
I mean, even if somebody came in and said, hey, you should, we're not going to, because we don't have the money to.
May Street is mentioned as part of the water project. When that project proceeds, which at this point is dependent on a vote in 26. And therefore engineered in later in 26, in 27. And so the May Street Bridge doesn't even get impacted until at least 27 or 28.
Would you just remove then line 18 of the bridge engineering?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say just remove it. And be aware that it's something that we talked about and
Right.
at some point there may be a need for
And then,
engineering expertise to help reprioritize.
and then should we then change the scope of the salt shed apron to be the shed apron?
Well, that was my question. Did Ed weigh in on his thought with regard to the apron?
We did.
Yeah.
Do we want to ask Ed to call in?
Yeah,
Just
I
have
can
him
put it
call.
on speaker.
The apron will be at least half of.
no, you can actually talk to that if you just use the phone to call into the house.
Now it's clean up the salt, the mud catcher and put it in the asphalt.
I would say that'd be a great idea.
Paving will not help with salt
And
management.
probably call from straight from his office phone.
Maybe more.
I recommend pushing to 27.
So I don't know if Ed is hearing us, but he should just call in with his cell
Well,
phone.
he can hear us. That's why he's making these comments at the right
Right, I
time.
know, but
I
that's
think
why
the idea, if we could listen to him
he
real
can, he
time.
can still see us and he
They
can
want you to
actually
call
talk to
in.
them.
Unless he's using his phone for this and he's having.
It does, looks like a laptop.
It does, but
So,
Does Ed, let me clarify and I'll ask a question of Ed. Are you saying that put off the entire paving plan till 27? Or are you recommending to stretch it out past 27 and phase it in with, say, the first phase?
I tried to
In
call.
27.
He tried to call. Oh, that's weird.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, there we go.
Hello, Ed. Hey. This is gonna be like, COVID days. Anybody have a glass? They put it on top of it.
Mask?
but now it's ringing. He needs to call back.
Ed, can you call the owl?
No,
No.
I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Well, yeah, because
Because we're getting the owl.
you're getting the owl.
So can we turn the owl off? If we-
No, it's a public meeting. We should not do that.
Then I can't hear you.
Yourself? For his volume?
Yeah,
Can you mute your computer?
no. The speaker of the computer has to be turned off. Yeah.
Now, if he just turns off his computer, but talks to us on the phone.
How's-
part of the problem is he's talking, it's going through the phone, it's going back to the.
Yeah.
Right.
So he needs to turn the volume on his computer off.
Yeah.
Or walk into another room. Right?
Or he can take messages.
Ed, can you turn the volume on your computer off?
I got it off. I think I'm gonna have trouble hearing you guys.
All right,
Let
that
us
is very
try-
clear.
let us try
Richard.
talking to you now.
Now, now, though.
Can you hear us good now?
I can hear you,
Okay.
personally.
Oh, okay.
All right, we
Hear
hear
you
you.
better
We,
now.
we,
We can hear you, Ed.
Joe, can you hear any of what Ed just said?
This sounds like the old Verizon commercial.
Okay.
Yeah, Ed,
So Ed, we can hear you, so speak.
you got the floor.
So if I just go back to my recommendations, I know you guys went through most of them already. But I went through this again this morning. Like I said, I would fund the Shakoma Beach because we have some real big erosion issues. We get lots of complaints every year that we need to add sand there. But we have to get a shoreland permit to add sand, or we need to get a shoreland permit to make these upgrades. The upgrades are estimated at about that 50,000, but we do need to get the engineering and permitting done. So, and me and Jim talked, we just changed the Shakoma area to the Shakoma Recreation Area with the select board, so possibly we could do the boat ramp and that permit at one time. So that's kind of where we're going there. We can talk some on the budget committee side, whether we do this out of CIP funds or if we're able to finagle 25,000 or a portion of in the actual regular budget as well.
So the 25 is for, the permitting, if you will, and then the 50,000 will be the work.
It's an estimate that I came up with for engineering and permitting. I have talked to the engineers and they're trying to get us a solid figure. So if it goes up much more than that, we'll have to talk about it, but that's what we have right now. And I think we can get it up for that. You guys talked about the police station. That's kind of in limbo till we may get a final quote on that and talk with the select board on what we want to do based on the price coming back in the final sale of the buildings. I don't think it would hurt for the CIP to make a recommendation, but the funding technically would also fall into the select board's hands there at the end and then the voters. But if you guys wanted to weigh in, it would just be a good way to do it without costing the CIP more money if it came back. And that's technically, I guess that's my recommendation of how we do that is sell those buildings, use those funds to increase and offset the other one with no more tax impact to the
And this
residents.
100,000, Ed, is just for an analysis or it's some work or what?
It's an estimation of mine. We got to replace the heating system in there completely and then all the flooring needs to be done, some door work. We moved them out of that building for a reason and we just need to do some work to bring it back up to a good usable building. But it's also just an estimate that I threw out there and I'm waiting. I was hoping the contractors would have some back by now, but they did not.
That's on the table to be sold, that building?
No.
No.
That
Okay.
building is not,
No.
as of our last meeting with the select board, they decided they wanted to keep that building, but the other two they wanted to sell. I do think, this remodel price will weigh into that final decision when we get done.
Okay.
Is that building the old,
The old PD.
oh yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay, the reduction in the driveway for the salt shed and apron, I think Jim has a cost. I couldn't remember what it was here. I looked back at my emails. It didn't have something, but it's less than half of the 85,000. I want to say it's closer to the $20,000 to $30,000 range. And if we just do the apron in front of the salt shed area, it gives them the ability to clean up the salt and put it away, where right now, if it falls off the truck, it falls in the mud puddle from the melted mud from the last storm. And it just dissolves in and runs off with the storm water into the kind of wetland area behind that. So if we put an apron there and we do it right and we slope it down a little bit, it just gives them the ability to load trucks right there and then clean it up and put the salt back away so it's not getting mixed in as much, and it'll really reduce the salt runoff. The drive coming up was the drive pretty much from the road up into that apron area. So all that area is not really getting a lot of salt on it. It's mostly just convenience at that point. So that's where we're recommending, if we're looking at stopping the pollution from the salt, that we should just do that apron area. It'll reduce costs and then we can look at a phased approach if we want to pave the rest of that area.
And Jim will come up with a little closer estimate as to the apron cost.
Yeah, I can have him update that cost before your guys' next meeting.
That's great.
Like you guys talked, I recommend we move that water truck from the 2028 timeframe where it was budgeted to the 2026 for the purposes of using the one they have now as a maintenance truck. I do think that's a good idea and a good use of town funds.
Hold on, Adam.
That's 13, right?
That's number 13, $75,000.
Yes.
The prior well, I do think we pushed to 27 or 28 pending the outcome of the police station decision. As Tracy mentioned, or if we decide not to keep the police station building, or if we decide to do something where that generator is not very useful there, then we could use that generator at the prior one well. I also agree with, part of my thought this morning was I would love to get a generator at prior one well, but we've never had one. So waiting a couple more years isn't the end of the world either. So, but it would be nice to get one there as soon as we have a little more clarity.
To your knowledge, is that portable generator capable of running the prior well in an emergency? Do you know?
No, we'd have to look at the wattage and stuff if it is, but
Yeah.
I would bet that it could run up those VFD pumps, because the variable drive doesn't use as much electricity as
Yeah.
just a quick start.
That's what I was thinking. So that in an emergency, we have a backup plan, so to speak.
Yeah, and it would really be for longer term stuff, not that a generator wouldn't kick on right away.
Right.
We do have storage up on the hillside right now and just things to look at. So, you know, when the water goes out, we do have water in the system for quite a while. The water has to be out downtown for quite some times. And then with our wells distributed down Main Street, it's, you know, one of them will come back on sooner or later, but I do think it's a good idea to get generators there. It's a good risk reduction thing, but I don't think it's something we need to just hurry and make a decision on. So
Okay.
if it helps the budget, which I think it will, I think we can push that and make the final decision as we move through analyzing these buildings.
Good.
And then we'll take off bridge engineering, which is DPW or Public Works 18.
Yep.
Just.
Yeah, I really think we only have a couple bridges that we have to take care of as a town, and I think we can do those one at a time if needed, which will be a lot less. All the bridges that go through the state are, they're inspected at least every other year. And none of them are red listed, and if they do red list them, though it sounds bad, it's really putting you on warning that you need to start getting ready to replace that bridge. So it's not like we'd have to do it in the next year or two, even once it's red listed. We'd have a few years to plan for that.
Hey, Ed, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Ed, I do like the idea of having outside set of eyes look at just the few bridges we're responsible for, as well as seeing what the state had to say about their bridges and putting together a plan that is based on engineering work. And I love Jim as much as anybody. I know we all do. I don't know, is that within his skill set to do that type of analysis? I
Well,
suspect.
we don't do that. The state analyzes all their bridges, and they use certified professional engineers
Okay.
that do their work.
Yeah,
So to me, I'm gonna use the word, it would be wasting taxpayer money to have a third party do it unless we thought one was unsafe that they said was safe.
so how many bridges do we have that are not state overseen?
I wanna say, I think it's one or two.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have many. Spectacle Pond is one, and it's pretty much a large culvert. It's not really a bridge, but it's one that we should get looked at.
Okay,
State road.
And then, like you said, the May Street one, we should really start looking at because it does need some work to be done to it. And before we put water lines and stuff across it, it would be probably a good idea to do that one at that time.
okay,
that
so
would
if
be-
not this 50,000
Yeah.
in this line item, what money do we have to look at just those two bridges as you just suggested?
We wouldn't really have anything right now. If we wanted to get a price from Horizon or something, we could do that. I think we could easily do that next year, maybe the year after, but
Right,
we
but
should get that done soon. Like Jim said, he really didn't want to dive into much bridge project work or bridge analysis work even while he's doing the Shaker Bridge.
hold on, sorry, but.
Because even the engineering takes a lot of work on our side.
Right, the Spectacle Pond is on the list. Right, so if we want somebody to look at that, we should tie it to that. And then it sounds like May Street is the logical time to look at it is when we do the water project.
Right.
Right, so
You're
what I want to avoid is us disconnecting the two.
Yep. I get
Right.
that.
Well, but they are disconnected by time.
Yeah, right, but I don't want us to have, see here, if we think somebody should look at the Spectacle Pond Bridge, it should be associated to the Spectacle Pond Bridge.
But that's out like past 31 at this point.
Right, so if we think we should look at that sooner, we should put a line, we should put a dollar amount somewhere in this line for looking at Spectacle Pond Bridge.
Yeah, so whether we change the title of this or just leave it as bridge engineering,
I'd rather be specific.
I have no problem with that.
Right.
Yeah. So do we need the whole 50 to look at spectacle or is it less than that?
Didn't think so.
I think the best thing to do would be to get a quote, but you could put a placeholder somewhere, and I would recommend 2028 or
Yeah.
later.
And I am willing to listen to other points of view, but I feel like bridges are something that it's worth, it's been a while, we should probably be looking at it.
Is Spectacle even a bridge? It's a box culvert.
It's a box
It's a
culvert,
box culvert.
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's technically a culvert.
yeah,
And that's projected in 3031.
yeah.
Cheaper than
But we kicked it out.
3031. We kicked it out. Okay.
Because we kicked it out. So it would make sense, as Ed suggests, to put a placeholder in, say, 2028
Yeah,
that says engineering for Spectacle Pond.
Or if you want to do it in 29 where there's no money, anything in the budget.
But
That's true.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
because people-
there.
Yeah.
we'll fill up 28,
Yeah.
trust me.
So, you know, it probably makes sense to put some sort of a placeholder for Spectacle Pond engineering in 28. What would you say, at 25,000 at this point?
Pond, that's probably enough. If you
Okay.
wanted to look at Main Street and Spectacle Pond, I'd probably push the 50.
Right, but
Yeah.
but Main Street, I believe, should be looked at sooner
When you're gonna do the water.
if the water project passes.
So if the water project passes with town vote in 2026, is that a trigger for engineering on May Street?
No, we'd have to talk to Jim. I don't know if Main Street falls in the one that was passed last year. I don't think we're planning on passing another water anytime soon. We just passed one last year for, what was it,
Yeah, that's the one that
2.7?
was approved.
Right,
Yeah.
so it's approved.
That's the one that was approved.
That one was approved.
Yeah.
So,
Is Main Street on that part? Is Main Street work related to that one?
It might be. I'd have to ask Jim to be sure, but I think it is.
Probably is.
so the engineering on the May Street Bridge ought to be within a time range of the water line on May Street,
Right, which would be 26.
which would be, well, or more likely 27.
Right, but if you need engineering on work you gotta
If
do.
you need engineering, that could be 26. What do you think, Ed? Should we put a placeholder on 26 for some engineering for the bridge on May Street?
Maybe we split those for now and then we can talk to Jim about updating those figures for sure, making sure we have the right amounts in the right year. But
Okay.
we have the Main Street Bridge in 28, right? On, DPW 21.
Yeah,
Right, and that's,
But that
again-
200,000
but
is
again,
not the
that's-
bridge. That's engineering.
right, but that's
Okay.
too late.
Right.
And that may be a year after the water line is initiated,
Yeah,
Right.
which would be
Right.
too late.
It's too late, that's what I'm saying.
which means they've come up to the old bridge and said, are we leaving this and stringing our new water lines underneath it?
Right.
So it may make some sense to think about at least let's hear from Jim and see what his thoughts are on that for a placeholder for 26 and certainly for 27 on May Street Bridge for potential engineering at least.
Well, no, if you're gonna wanna fix it, it's gonna have to go.
Well, the other thing that has been discussed on May Street is using a Bailey Bridge that we own.
Okay.
We own two.
But
We
then you're
own
gonna-
one at use at Shaker Boulevard, but there's one in the backyard here.
Right, but then you're gonna put water lines on that
Sure. Sure,
and leave forever?
sure.
no,
You-
for 75 years.
Those
That's what they're
bridges,
good for.
those bridges, those
Yeah.
bridges were designed in World War II.
Yeah.
And they are indestructible.
And
Yeah.
where?
Their
where's that bridge?
their limitations are that they're a one-lane bridge.
Oh, okay. Where's that bridge?
Shaker Boulevard is a Bailey Bridge.
No.
The other one, it's behind the shed here.
Main Street,
Bay Street,
It's at the end of May Street.
at the end.
Yeah,
So
there are
one-
probably only, how many houses past that point, would you say? Six at most,
6 or 7, yeah.
at most?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fraction of the travel of, say,
Okay,
Shaker
okay.
Boulevard.
Okay.
Right.
Alright,
So a one-lane bridge out there may be, I don't want to speak for folks, but may be an acceptable substitute,
yeah, so we should look at it sooner,
in which case there are alternatives.
because otherwise it becomes like other places where I grew up. Where You rip up the sidewalk to put in the water line and you repave the sidewalk, and the next year, the cable company
Comes in.
rip up the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And
To put in the cable, yeah, exactly. So it does make sense that if the water project is proceeding, we at least know what path we're taking.
Yes.
How far, where does the water go currently? How far out? Does it go up Maple Street, Main Street now, and we're just replacing?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I knew, yeah, I know it's down Route 4 and.
Goes to the town
yeah,
line.
goes up to the
Okay,
town
done
line.
Already, okay.
Yeah. Maple Street was done last year.
Yeah.
And if you go out there, you'd see a little garage on your right that's a pump house.
Yeah.
And May Street, there is not a pump house, but if you went out there, you'd see the pavement changed and that's where it stops. But it's only water out there, it's not sewer.
Oh, just water,
Yeah.
okay.
Where were we? We interrupted you, Ed.
So actually, so I have a question related to that to Jim then. If work were to need to happen on that Bay Street Bridge,
Uh-huh.
is $200,000 in 2028 the right number? Because it sounds to me like it's the wrong number in the wrong year.
I don't know where the 200,000 came from. That is a legit question for Jim. I don't know where that 200,000 came from.
Because it seems like the wrong year and the wrong number.
It is the wrong year and
Yeah.
likely the wrong number.
Especially if it's out back already.
Well, it's only a feasibility.
I know.
It's only a
That's why I was
feasibility
looking at
that could be done, but it has been talked about as a possibility.
So I think we ought to sharpen the pencil possibility.
I'd say we'd start with the definition from our director of DPW. And then he can go to Ed and come forth with what their thoughts are. But I think it's something to figure out our path.
So then looking ahead, I said I was gonna do this, but, if the 2028 number for, goes away, then a lot of the stuff that we're talking about delaying could fit in 2028.
Yep.
Otherwise, you could go to 2029 and that's
Yes.
certainly pretty empty, and then actually things are leveling out quite well.
Well, we need to
Even
come up with.
even in the other departments, because the other departments are already pretty flat.
Yeah.
I'd also
But I think-
looked at that crack sealer that's on your list too.
Yeah.
You said delay, right?
It's really nice to have, I think, and Jim kind of agrees with me that we could probably get on an annual schedule with the person that rents it to rent it the same month every year, but to me, I know it's a really nice piece of equipment to use and crack sealing our roads would really help the longevity. But I hate to spend $85,000 on a machine that we use 2 to 3 weeks a year.
That's the way.
I really liked your idea and I'd love to see us pursue the possibility of a consortium that buys that machine. Of a consortium of towns
I
that
know.
purchase that machine,
But for now, if the plan is we can rent the same month, let's just do that.
if we can get it. Jim has said he's had some difficulty, but that's not a reason to backtrack completely away from the idea
Because
of leasing.
He did, but he also said that we try to rent it when we need it, and we had talked about, putting in now for next summer sometime, and then just keep that hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just reserve it ahead of time.
Right.
But if you look at the numbers also, and we could split the purchase of machine down the line with a couple of different towns. It begins to become a possibility.
But then that's gonna be a difficult thing because one town's gonna want it at the same time you want it.
Well, no.
We'd have to work it out. But anyway, that's just a path. But the
Well,
idea is to reserve it ahead of time, a
the
year
other
ahead
thing
of
is
time.
like, one town is gonna eventually purchase it and house it, and then
Right.
management changes and they
Right.
forget about the deal. and-
Yeah, right, exactly.
But interestingly enough, no towns around here actually have one.
I know.
Lebanon doesn't have one,
And-
Hartford
well, if we
doesn't
bought
have
one,
one,
maybe we
Hanover
could-
doesn't have
Well,
one.
that's exactly what
They're
I'm
all
thinking.
leasing them.
Right,
They're all bringing in a contractor
I know.
to do the exercise.
And
Yeah, we've been.
Maybe
been
we
talking
buy
about
one
this
and
for
then
like-
rent it out at a high price.
For a while.
bad time to do that.
I mean, we've all acknowledged the need. It makes a huge difference in a road if you can come back
agree.
1 year after it's paved and seal it.
But let's keep renting it
But
for a couple.
We'll
years,
just have
see
to
how it
keep
goes.
leasing it. But the suggestion is, we just need to get ahead of the curve.
Right.
Lease it immediately for next year.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the message board trailer, delay or delete?
I thought we had delayed it at least last time. I'm surprised it's still on there, but I would delay it. I would delay it. I think it's something that we would be really nice to have, but that's exactly what it is. It's a nice
So-
to have.
Put it in the
Yeah.
2029.
Well, the other thing is pass it back to Jim and say, find one that's less money. Right now, it's the end of the season. I did a little research and I found them under $10,000.
Yeah.
So you just have to do more research, a used one,
Right, I used one.
Contractors are replacing.
contractors are ending their season and liquidating their equipment.
Because they don't want to store it.
They don't want to store it and they want some cash.
That's how I got 25% off my.
They'll
mower.
buy a new one next
I
contract
bought it in November.
out of the federal dollars that they'll get for next year's paving.
Perhaps, Stearns would like to sponsor this one too.
Well, you never know. You never know.
By the way, is it just me or are the lights on the Stearns police thing that tell you what speed you are, something's wrong with it because you can barely read it?
It could be that the machine is getting a little older.
I didn't have any problem.
No, no,
reading
no, I
it.
wouldn't do it while I'm driving.
But,
I drove by it this morning and it's fine.
Yes.
You know, I will,
It could have been.
when I go by it, I always double check to see if it's accurate, and it is still accurate. So if it says I'm 5 or 8 miles over the speed limit, I glance down real quickly and, yeah, sure enough, I am.
So I lived in a city where when you saw the speed you were going, the ticket was already in the mail.
I don't think we're at that point yet, but you know,
Spread that rumor.
I think it's a pretty effective device.
And that's illegal in New Hampshire.
I support that
Can't put these- can't put it in.
So
So we're gonna move the board trailer, we're gonna call that a hold.
Yeah.
And move that forward at least a year or two,
So,
or 3.
Dimitri suggested 2029?
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Yes, sure.
2029. Might as well put something in.
yes,
Put it in 29.
I would put the crack sealer and the trailer just in 2029. We can always pull them forward.
Yeah.
When we get to if we get to 2028 and we find that, hey, that bridge number is really wrong and doesn't even belong there, then fine, pull things back in sure.
We also,
But I'm-
come 2029, it's gonna be 15 things there.
Yes, there's gonna be a new, we
Yeah,
need
what's
50 new, yes. So
Ideally, we'll plan enough ahead that we
I know.
won't have that.
That would be ideal.
So- if we do all that, then I think everything is looking pretty level with my calculator.
Yeah.
You know,
It
With
pulls
the-
things out.
with the exception of this $400,000 for 2027.
For the admin, which is the
Walk a
I
mile.
don't want walk a mile.
Yeah.
We're not spending any money in 26 on the Walker Mile.
No.
No, but
You know, we can see what evolves. Part of it is waiting to see
yes,
how the state deals with the funding.
right, but so here's my concern, right? It's gonna be like the water truck. Okay? It's gonna be like, oh, we got the funding from the state.
Right.
We have to spend this $400,000 or we're gonna lose the 2 million.
We wanna spend
And
it.
people are gonna spend the $400,000.
Right.
Question for you, Ed. Is that part of DOT's 10-year plan?
It has nothing to do with DOT funds.
Okay,
It's TAP funds to the federal government, so it's
Okay.
alternative transportation.
okay,
The one thing that's different, I know Dimitri said earlier that we were trying to get money to offset it. The TAP funds can use in-kind and third-party donations to offset it. So we can use the donation of the right-of-way from the chosen bale. We did this a lot on Lakeside Park. We can use our delivery guys, our DPW to deliver gravel, different
So-
things. So I'm comfortable saying we'll be under 300,000, but I can't give you a number of where we'll actually be.
Right.
I
so
think the other thing to
my
look at
point
is
is,
what's the,
it's still gonna be $300,000, which is
Right.
gonna be more than our budget for half in and out. And so we're gonna have this one line item that takes up 60% or more of the whole budget. And that is my main concern with next year.
we can have that conversation. We can even put it forward at town meeting to see if we want it. The grant's not
Yeah.
coming forward till next July.
But Ed, I'm glad to hear you say that, because this was my biggest surprise at the last meeting. I didn't understand CIP and I still don't completely, but I'm learning. And the idea of cash versus a loan, loans had to go to the town. it really surprised me that we could spend $300,000 without asking the town, and I get it. But in
Yeah.
this case, I think it would be wise to ask them, otherwise we all might be, tarred and feathered.
Yeah, I get a lot of phone calls about it, but I mean, but like you said, it might be the same 20 to 50 people that are calling. It's also been in the town plans for over 10 years to get this done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was back in the byway plan and different things way back in the day. And the other thing to think about as we move forward is right now we're spending money on the engineering for it. So
I know.
we've been dumping money for 2 years into this. Not to say you don't fold your cards at some point and say, you know what, we're not spending $2.5 million on a project. But
I'm curious, the number in 27 of cash and the grants in 28 are the same number. If we give them money in 27, are we gonna get the money back in 28? And the net result is gonna be that 103?
and they shouldn't be the exact same number, but I think they were really close.
Okay,
They're the exact same number.
They probably
Are they?
rounded.
Right.
We can check those.
but I'm just wondering then, would it just cost us 103 as a town? We just, if
No.
we,
No,
No.
right?
no, it's a 20% match.
Okay,
20% match.
So I bet if you sum up the two blue numbers and you sum up the two other
it's
ones,
2 million.
you
and
get
ours is-
20%.
Ed, does the engineering money that we've already spent act as match?
And something happened with these, cause
Yeah,
that's not the right numbers. We changed them
Backwards.
last meeting.
Yeah,
I
Cause
guess,
we had over $200,000 funding, but yeah, maybe it is close.
Walk a mile,
Ed, does the engineering money, which we've already spent on the walk a mile, count as match?
I don't believe so, cause that was a
right,
different
right.
grant, most of it, except for our funding.
Oh, last time.
Okay,
how much have we
Well, we
spent
can-
already on?
I mean, I can look into other ways of getting some grants and donations and different things to offset that. Like I said, the ones that I was leaning on to say, I'm confident we can get down into the 300,000 range is the in kind. That,
I have no
you know, we
notes.
start using truck time and DPW time and travel. It adds up quickly.
okay.
When I add all those together, we come to 2,585,436.
Which is the total
That's
project
right.
cost?
No problem.
Yes.
And the 20% is the 500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we can get bids lower,
So-
that's what we recommend.
It really looks, the numbers look correct.
Okay,
And how much of that engineering for Walk a Mile is completed percent, what would you estimate?
2.5, yeah, they're 100 bucks. Now I see that.
exactly right now, but we should be done with engineering and permitting this year. Which is coming out of the other grant that's been approved already, so.
Who did the engineering?
Pathways.
That Pathways is doing the engineering right now.
It was pretty complete. I've seen the engineering. It's a pretty thorough engineering.
But who agreed to go ahead and do the engineering? I would have thought
Well,
that
we
the
did-
project has to get
No,
accepted first.
We received a grant for the engineering,
right,
and that's what we spent
Right,
essentially.
right.
But it was also a match, right?
20%
A
match.
20% match. So the select board, I assume, decided we're
Right.
gonna go do this.
And I don't off the top of my head recall how much that match
You know,
was.
just
Do you
like,
recall how much the match was on the first engineering grant?
I can look it up.
Yeah, I don't remember. But I think it was probably a fairly reasonable sum,
right,
at that point. But it's certainly something, Dan brings up a very good point. It's worth discussing the project at a town level.
and then if,
And saying, here we are, and the other thing that comes up at the town level is to say, if it's favorable on the town level, you can discuss a public fundraising to come up with a match. If there's a large part of the town that says, we really wanna do this thing, and we've identified the need for 400,000 in match funds required, let's see how the town receives the thought of a public fundraising to do that.
I have less concerns where the money comes from. I agree with Dan. It's one of those $2.5 million is not a small chunk of change.
Right.
Yes, doing 20% is a lot less than $2.5 million, but
Right.
it would be good for the town to weigh in whether we should do a $2.5
I
million
think it would.
project.
I think it would.
I agree.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
public
And if they,
opinion would be
if they
wrong.
approve it and it comes out of the taxes, hey, you voted for it.
Right.
If they approve it and people come up with $400,000 as a match from who knows what contribution and it doesn't cost us anything, you can.
Where the others go.
2/3 have to approve it.
No, it's not a bond.
No, it's not a bond. You're not borrowing any money.
No.
All that would happen would be a consensus vote, if you will.
Right.
That we should proceed accepting the grant when it becomes available, but that the
Right.
match funds would not be tax generated. They would come from public
You can't do
fundraising
that.
campaign.
You can't do that.
Yeah,
You can't do that.
Why not?
because if you're accepting the grant,
If
you
you're accepting the grant,
basically
you're
said, we're gonna
accepting
put in the 20%.
You can't put conditions on accepting the grant.
Right.
No, I didn't mean to do that. No, I didn't mean to put conditions on accepting the grant.
Okay.
I wanted, if you're gonna have the public discussion, I would want the public to be aware of the feasibility
Oh, yeah,
of
Yeah.
having a fundraising campaign
Yeah.
for the match,
right, but not
Right.
saying.
but not conditioning it on that
Okay.
fundraising campaign. So that if there was a strong consensus that said, for $2 million,
Yeah.
we wanna do this project, we recognize that there's a grant for 1.8,
No, 2 million essentially.
2 million essentially, excuse me. What do you think about proceeding? Should we proceed, number one? And if we should proceed, and it's a strong notion to proceed, what do you think about a fundraising program to come up with the match that's needed?
Perfect volunteering opportunity.
I'm just suggesting it's a way to look at the project
Oh, yeah.
and get public input. So exactly as you say, nobody's gonna come back later, or not enough people are gonna come back later and say, why?
Well, wait, but the town is still on the hook for that 400,000 if the capital campaign doesn't go well.
Yeah,
So you gotta get.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd have to make that point perfectly clear.
right,
Exactly.
Yeah, this is.
yeah,
You'd have to make that point perfectly clear, that if there's a strong consensus to proceed with accepting the grant,
Right.
the town is obligated to the match funds.
exactly.
And we're simply asking, okay, if you really want the project and you recognize there's a match required, are you willing to consider a public fundraising campaign for the match? Rather than tax funds.
We
If
could do
not,
that anyway.
you're gonna get taxed on it.
Right,
Otherwise, you're gonna get taxed on it. Otherwise, it's gonna happen, you're gonna get taxed on it.
Okay.
So our engineering grant right now has been approved at 200,000, so about 40,000 of that would be the town's responsibility.
And that's already been expended?
And we're in the middle of expending it.
Okay.
They're completing engineering. They're
Okay,
doing some wetland studies right now and different things, so.
yep,
So if you have to fold, you only have 40,000.
like that folded, laid out 40,000.
Just not-
And it could be a generational thought, you know. We'll be long
But you're
gone
gonna
and they'll
use-
say, why didn't they do it?
which you're gonna use to try to
The
sell.
engineering is not gonna expire.
So the,
So
On these, in these situations, why doesn't the town get to vote on whether they wanna spend any money at all on the engineering?
Because it's a one-year cycle. You just have to make decisions when things like the
Wow.
grant become opportunities. Otherwise, everything comes down to waiting until March to get a town's
Yeah.
input.
Like when they bought the water truck, right?
Right.
That was a select board decision. That was $400,000.
Yeah.
Well, actually less, and ended up being, I don't remember how much it was, but it wasn't that much.
It wasn't that much.
Real money.
Yeah, yeah, it was about 3.
That's unfortunate.
Yes.
Well, and then
Well-
15 less than that.
Same in here, right? We're making decisions on the order of.
Yes,
100, 200, 200, 300.
Right,
otherwise you're stuck with a one-year cycle and all
So-
decisions would have to be deferred. That is how,
That's the purpose.
that's the purpose of CIP, because it was on a one-year cycle.
Right.
We need a new police car, we need a new fire truck, we need this or that or the other thing. You'll have to wait till March, it's a separate warrant request.
And occasionally something comes up that you had on your plan, but it's out a few years, but you get a really good deal if you get it now.
Yeah.
And so they can make that decision.
I mean, a small example is, Jim bought, with the select board's permission, a brine maker last year, which he had originally put in the CIP plan. We thought about it, we kicked it off the road a little bit. But he found one for a fraction of the cost from a contractor who bought it, thinking he had a use for it through his clients, and did not. So Jim picked it up for about 25 cents on the dollar.
I like that idea.
Well, it was a successful thing. So he came to the select board and he said, here's the numbers. And it was a easy decision to make, because it not only wasn't needed to be paid for by CLP, but it's a fraction.
Another topic. So with these changes, things are leveling out much better for the next 3 years. It seems very suspicious that DPW is pretty much blank in 28 and 29. And like, when I mean blank, I mean blank.
I think part of it is,
And so I would like Jim to double check that he didn't miss
fair
out.
enough.
Like, are we through, in the next 3 years, are we gonna through being updating the vehicles? And we are really gonna be blank, or is it gonna be next year we come in and suddenly, boom, there's another $1 million, that's.
I don't know, I'd let Ed weigh in on that thought.
I don't see any of these big trucks that he generally needs every so often in here at all.
Right, and that's my question, is it really true that in 3 years, we're gonna be done, and DPW is gonna be down to close to zero? Right, that, yes, there's a finance
I don't think that's gonna
in
happen.
there, a big one for 29. Right, like the grader.
Yeah.
Talked about that, but are we then kind of caught up? Or is there a bunch of stuff missing? Is Ed typing again?
Is Ed typing? Did we lose him verbally?
No, I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the plan. We had kind of looked through that and they had pushed out. If you go through their trucks every couple of years, there's a couple different things. They put to 2029, they put the grader replacement because it's really expensive.
Right,
And then they pop
Oh.
back into a 6-wheel replacement the
In
next year.
2030.
There may need to be something added in 2030, 2031, but.
Yeah.
We have had those discussions, even though some of them were good ideas, the addition of the boom saw layer, crack sealer, drum roller this year, walk behind blower, we've got to be spreading these things out a little more.
right, and so my main point is. We've worked hard at DPW to catch up and put a plan together, and we're kind of executing on the plan. What I want to avoid is. A year or two from now, oh, by the way,
Yeah,
here's
Yeah.
the next round of $3 million of
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, no question
And
about it.
my questions would be, well, why was that not in our 5-6 year plan 2 years ago? That's essentially what I'm at.
I don't want to solicit more trucks from Jim. I don't want to go. You don't have enough truck. But I do think it's really part of what Ed has asked Jim to look at very carefully, which is managing
Right.
the program so that things are properly spread out as they should be. And again, differentiating between wants and genuine needs.
Right, and in the past, it's been focused on the next year or two.
It has been
And
short term.
It's been like this to get stuff
Right,
out
yeah, and it
in
has
the
been
next
short.
5 years, and
Yeah.
I think.
And I think what we're starting to do today is take if it's not a number one priority this year, and it's it's a 2 or 3, then we need to make sure that we're making that a number one priority down the road.
Exactly.
So
Right.
because if it's not like, well, if it continues to be a number
Right.
2 priority, maybe it should be on the list.
Right, so
And I think we're getting there.
Right, my point is, if we focus only
Yeah.
on 26, right? Jim will only focus on 26.
Yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
gotta, and it doesn't mean it can't move, but what I'm after is, if there's stuff in there where Jim was thinking, oh yeah, we'll cover that in 3 years, let's put it in.
We've been having those discussions and we're gonna continue. I've had some discussions with him since the start of this, and one thing that I do want to bring back to you, and I didn't do it this meeting because I wasn't gonna be there, was updating those forms at the end, and we can have this discussion.
But I mean, yes,
Yeah.
hallucinate.
I'm sorry.
CIP
Conversation.
Sorry.
The CIP committee, started separate, but it used to be a planning board function.
Yeah.
And it's been required for,
I talked over it, but
if you go into.
By law,
depth here,
if you don't have a CIP, the planning board doesn't. That's why there has to be a planning board member on the CIP.
So my question is, at 7:25, do you want to keep going, or do you want to take a pause and pick it up at the next meeting?
I don't have any more
We
questions.
don't have that much more to go.
We don't have that much more to go, and it's really, it is more straightforward than the DPW.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right,
let's do it.
so public safety. You can see, and we heard explanations from our Director of Public Safety, Chief of Police, about the ambulance defibrillator. He mentioned specifically why we need that particular machine. I won't reiterate what he said. I think we all heard it pretty clearly,
Yeah,
and it certainly comes down to life safety.
right, it talks to
Yeah.
the hospital, yeah.
And so that one is, I think, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
We then drop down to the public safety radios. Now, what we've done is they're actually funded through the taxes, in the budget. It lands on our desk only to the extent that, overall, each year's purchase is a capital item and it does exceed $10,000, but it's in the budget.
It's also,
I don't remember the power cot being put off so far. To 3031. Am I just wrong? My recollection.
No, the power cot, I think is put off just because he doesn't need it right away,
Okay.
but he's anticipated that the cot which they have, which is a power cot,
Okay.
will be at the end of its useful life by
Okay.
then.
Not fact that they didn't have a power cot.
No.
They do have a power cot. We bought one
No.
2 years ago.
Yeah, it's not that old.
And it is, but it will be at its useful life
Yeah.
by then.
By the way, the radios is stopping after 4 years, probably needs a copy paste in the other 2 years of the
Yeah.
budget.
And it could be that we'll get to 2029 or 2030 and we'll reinstitute a round of radio purchases. But we ought to get there first. They have a life. They don't last forever, but they last a number of years.
Well, right, you're saying 3 radios every year.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 4, except the last year's 3.
Okay, well, it says in note 3 radios
Three
annually.
Yeah.
Pre-annual.
And there's only 4 years budgeted. The
Right.
fifth and sixth year has no dollars.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
we could fill those in.
Yeah.
We can put those down and
Right.
presume that certain radios are gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
They've been passing them down to the DPW, for example, but that means they've been passed down.
So
Yeah.
the other reason I'm focusing on filling in stuff in later years as the missing ones is to us avoid being in the trap of, oh, the next couple of years are really bad, but then it gets much
We can-
better.
No,
And it
no,
doesn't.
Yeah.
consistently, the work continues, I get it.
I know, so I'm trying to get real numbers.
And the cruiser replacement yearly is good. I just think the 30 and 31 numbers, I don't know why they're so lower, because I think,
The one for 75 is a complete refit.
right.
We
That's
we
right.
discussed, you heard from him.
Right?
He said, do we bother to use the cage? Do we bother to use the
Yeah.
dash? Do we bother to use the lights?
I see, and then the.
And he was concerned that if we did that, we're installing used equipment on a brand new
Mhm.
vehicle. And we'll possibly get in trouble, especially when it comes to the lights and the control
Yeah.
package.
The
for it.
this one is replacing a cruiser
This one
as
replaces
opposed
an
to going
existing
into
cruiser.
a new Explorer.
Right,
So
Right.
they wouldn't fit anyways.
yeah.
Right.
So this one replaces a vehicle
Right.
Mhm.
and,
I think 30 and 31 should be a little higher is what I'm thinking.
well, I think at this point, it's hard to say because
It
the
is,
other
yeah, yeah.
possibility that might happen is Ford stopped making the model that we have and it's a
Right.
complete redecision process. We're
That's
guessing.
true too. That's true too.
You know,
Because
right now,
they're
they'll,
the only ones that make it.
and they're gonna stop making the Explorer because the only people who are buying the Explorer that's outfit as a police car are
Yeah.
municipalities.
And they do often reuse equipment,
Yeah.
not the lights, because the wiring is too hard to
Right,
wire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
But
they
they'll-
reuse equipment from
Yeah.
one cruiser to the
Yeah.
next, if the body style stays the same,
Right.
so it
All of a
fits.
sudden it's a Chevy.
if all of a sudden it's something else made by somebody else, you know,
It's the Tahoe.
um,
Yeah, the Tahoe's not good for.
so it's hard to say where the numbers will go. It's important, however, I think, I view those numbers as genuine placeholders as we move
Okay.
forward.
Okay,
Rather than saying
a real.
they're actually less money.
Right,
Nothing is less money.
no.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff we do has a 2% escalator on it, and, you know, recently we've had higher than 2% increases, but on average, we're in that area. So like Tracy said, once we get 3-4 years out, we just want to be in the ballpark of what we think it's going to cost.
We just want a number there, so it's not a zero and everything looks rosy.
Yeah.
All right, so what have we got left? We've done,
I think we've done them all.
I think we've done them all. I think we plowed through it.
Can you remind me why we don't have anything for Johnson Drive property?
As a select board, we made the decision to sit on the property
Yeah.
and see how it goes. There was enough of the interest by the public in keeping the property and some interest in selling the property. So, and there was a committee study done that said we could try to sell off a little piece of it. It didn't go. I think the next step, frankly, is gonna be a revisit to the concept of keeping the property when the last parcel comes back to town hands. It's on a lifetime tenancy.
Right.
The last one, there's a camp there now.
Yeah.
And when that one comes back to the town, which I won't in public meeting say why that's not all that far away. But it's a lifetime tenancy. And at some point, that will come back into the town. And then that's a time to look at the parcel again as a town and say, okay, how do you want to deal with this?
Okay.
But in the meanwhile, there's nothing urgent that we need to do. The A-frame down there isn't gonna fall apart. It's okay. It's secured. There's another little building down there that was a former camp, but it's secured. It's okay. So there's no urgency to tear anything out and do work down there.
Gotcha.
Do you agree with that, Ed, that thought?
I do. I was gonna say the same thing. There's nothing to be said there. Actually taking our rec director down there and looking, there's been some thoughts about if we keep the parcel that some of those buildings, one or more, may be actually be able to be used. And so I think at this point, there's really no cost to be spent down there. And there's definitely nothing right now over $10,000
Yeah.
unless we wanted to try to demolish those two buildings.
Yeah.
And there's nothing pressing to do that. DPW's maintaining the fields. They mow it.
Yeah.
They keep it nice and clean.
Told it's beautiful.
It's a nice spot. People
Right,
use it.
yeah.
They come in by boat, some come by rail.
Yeah.
Others will come over from, the Lebanon side. It turns out they come down Ice House Road on the Lebanon side and walk over.
Yeah.
So it's, you know,
How does DPW get there? Because the road
they
there.
drive the pickup down. Yeah. Oh, it's not that bad. I've driven my own little pickup truck down there. It's not that bad.
Haven't gone down.
And there's no reason to improve it, since the only people who are supposed to be there is somebody who has a reason to be there.
Right.
DPW has four-wheel drive, no problem. I have four-wheel drive, no problem. I ride my bike over and can look at it that way. I don't need to drive down there, but I have, you know. It's a nice little spot. And I think in a few years, we'll all figure out, or the town will figure out if anything should be done, if anything. But as was pointed out by John Klug, who has been on the select board for many more years than any of us have, we don't want to sell lakeside property.
No.
It's too valuable.
Yeah.
It can't be replicated. Let's just relax and, you know, there was an opportunity years ago to buy a lakeside property at the end of Mascoma Lake and they didn't. It was a mistake.
At a future meeting, will we discuss the nickel?
Yeah, I didn't want to get into it. It's kind of a complicated procedure. If anybody has any questions about what the nickel is about, feel free to send an email to either Dan or myself and we can help to explain it. But essentially what it would be, in a very quick note, would be looking at whether the amount which we've been allocating by warrant article each year is sufficient to the task or whether it should be increased.
Got it.
Well, we can talk about that because a nickel's worth a lot more now.
Sure.
But we've just been putting a dollar figure, what, I think around 29,000, at least I might know that.
$26,200.
Yeah, and now a nickel is closer to the 50, so it's something we need to talk about. We can put that on the next meeting and I wanna.
So that's a nickel about.
And I wanna
It-
talk about.
It essentially takes the grand list and multiplies it by a nickel.
Right.
Now, when the grand list was what it was prior to the last appraisal, it equaled approximately $26,200 5 or 6 years ago, and then wasn't changed for several years. A nickel times the current grand list, and I'm assuming folks know what, when I say grand list, what I'm talking about.
Right.
The grand list is now slightly over $1 billion.
So you'll notice on the sheet, we have 51,000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because a nickel times $1 billion is roughly
And
$51,000.
at a future meeting, when I can screen share, because Ed's not, when he's here, so we don't have to have him on that. I have this in Excel, so we can play with those numbers and watch it change.
Yeah. So it's just,
But that's our
It-
income basically. the
that
CIP.
is the annual
That is the
increase, not the income.
Increase.
It is the increase. So we
Okay.
started with a sum.
Yeah.
And we've been increasing it by, in recent years, $26,200 per year.
Okay.
The question has become, should we increase it by more than
So-
$26,200 per year?
That question only came because I believe that question mainly came because we were continually projecting, oh, the cash is gonna go down, the
Right.
cash is gonna go down, the cash is gonna go
Right.
down. We have.
No. I'm gonna
What?
say no. We talked about it last year and we decided not to increase from a nickel.
Right, we talked about it
Yeah.
a few years ago too,
Right.
Yeah.
when the
The
numbers, oh my
conversation
God.
now is do we stay with a nickel, which would be almost double
Right,
what we had been
Really
selected.
use a nickel.
right.
Well,
The nickel.
I think the nickel has been like like nothing is in writing on the nickel, right?
No.
It's just the
It's just,
marketing.
it is in writing. It is the policy
Yeah.
of the capital improvement plan, and it does say that in the plan.
Does it say it?
Yes. It's in writing. It's online. You can see it.
We sold it that way.
Originally Proposed,
Okay,
because it was a nickel and it was going
Yeah,
to be,
right.
that was a very long time ago.
that was a very long
It
time
hasn't
ago.
been changed now, and, well, your list will show it hasn't been changed since,
So you're saying.
a
if
number of
we
years,
follow
6, 7
what's
years.
Written in the policy,
Mhm.
you would actually increase it by 50,000 this year?
Because we have.
Two. From 26 to
26
to 50,000.
Yeah.
From 26,000
Yeah.
to 50,000. Now, that's not the amount which goes in. The amount that goes in is still the warrant article. That's the
Right.
amount which that goes in increases.
Okay.
The nickel was started as, it was a marketing piece. Because if you owned a $250,000 house, the nickel meant it was gonna cost you a pizza a year.
50 times 5.
And that's how we sold it.
What a banana pizza principle. Well, we didn't have two pizza joints in town. Now we have
That's how
4.
we sold it. We said
Yeah,
it means
but
you're
hold
gonna
on.
go up, your taxes, if you own a $250,000 house, is gonna go up by the cost of a pizza.
Right,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like the town valuation was
Oh, yeah,
much lower in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was,
That nickel was,
40% of the town valuation back
right.
then. That's how they got to the 26,200.
right, it was
Right.
worth a healthy amount too.
oh, yeah.
And it was certainly a healthy amount too. And the question is, what should the new formula be moving forward?
Right.
But there does need to be a new formula moving forward. We can continue the nickel, as we call it, so that it's 5 cents on the grand list rate, tax rate, or multiplied by the grand list,
Yeah, but
added to
so,
the tax rate.
so hold on, so you're saying nickel this year is essentially a 10% increase? Almost,
10%.
if I round it. She's
No.
looking at the numbers.
No,
No, it's 26,200.
it's just going up
If
it
it
is what
goes,
we've
if it
scheduled.
goes to 50,
to
If it goes
50,000.
to 50,000.
It would be a 10% increase.
it'd be
You're
almost a
right.
10% increase.
To go from 500,000 to 550.
It's doubling.
Yeah,
Right,
It's at
So,
100%
to
increase,
me, I know
or
I
90% increase.
I don't know that I wanna open the can of worms at town meeting this year, because my concern is, so here.
Right.
I
Oh, I know.
I'm gonna go on a limb and make a projection, right?
Yep.
If we don't say anything and don't do anything, it'll get approved.
Right.
And it's gonna go up $50,000 and it will sail
Right.
right through. If
The
we have,
warrant nickel will have a dollar figure though.
yes, yes,
Right.
but it doesn't show last year's dollar figure. It doesn't show anything else. It'll have a
Right.
dollar figure.
Right.
Somebody smart enough might pick up on it and it says, and we're gonna go, it's been a nickel, the same it's always been.
right,
And you're gonna go, okay. If we have a big discussion about it, it's actually gonna be hard to convince we're actually trying to lower it.
right.
People are gonna think they're trying to increase it.
Right.
Trust me.
Yeah.
They're gonna think we're gonna try to increase it.
Increasing the real dollars, but you're.
You increase the
No,
real
No.
dollars.
I
Yeah,
think-
they're thinking, you're right. people are going to say, oh, you moved it from a nickel to a dime.
CIP, and actually we're saying, no, we're gonna try
Right.
to lower it.
Right,
So in my view, the nickel is completely arbitrary.
Mhm.
Yes,
It should be tied to an inflation rate.
in a sense it is, because it's a multiple of the grand list,
right.
which is
Which is
tied to
inflated.
an inflation rate.
But it's,
Tied to a
Problem
reassessment
is, we
rate.
haven't done it every year.
No,
We
no,
haven't had incremental.
We let it
So
slide. We should,
go.
if you were sticking by the nickel, then you should have changed it in 2000 and
I think it's been
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
since it was
You
started.
could have changed it in 2019.
Oh, so we haven't really done the nickel really.
No.
No,
We've been doing 3 cents.
no, it's down to about 2.5 or 3 cents.
Right.
Look at this last sheet, when we started to look at the
Yeah,
balance
yeah,
with
yeah.
the expenses that are on the plan as it is, and it's improved a little bit since the last time.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of the numbers, the balance was getting quite low,
Yeah.
so we thought, is that enough? And then we started talking about the nickel, which is why there's the optional plan, which is just a discussion point at this point.
How often do we do reevaluation?
5 years.
Every 5 years?
Yeah,
So the next one is 4 years from now.
The choices are to either change it every time there's a reevaluation
Right.
or to lock it to the rate of inflation.
Actually, you could change it every time you do a reevaluation, or you could change it every year based on the grand list change. The grand list does change every year. People
Yeah,
come in town, people sell their homes, people
Usually
do
goes up.
development.
and 20% gets reappraised.
There is a rationale, however, for leaving it attached to 5 cents against the current grand list.
Right.
Until you see the development of certain large developments, which could happen in about 5 years. Rather than trying to tie it into the grand list, on an annualized basis. So if you let it go until the next townwide appraisal, you could look at it at that time. And you'd only be 4 years out of date. Right now, we're many years out of date because it just wasn't kept up.
Right.
So if you just said, well, we think we'll stick with the nickel and we will go 5 cents on the current grand list, but not look at it in 27, 28, 29. We're gonna wait until 30 and look at it again.
So I think the best solution might be, let's go back to the nickel this year.
Yeah.
Going forward, let's set it to CPI.
I thought the nickel was always on $1,000 of valuation.
It is, basically. So you take $1 billion and you divide it by 1,000 and you multiply it by
Oh,
a
it is the
nickel, that's
grand
what you
list.
get.
This the grand list.
It is the grand list. So if you take the grand list, you divide it by 1,000
Right,
and you multiply it by 5 cents,
that's what you'll come up.
that's what you come up with. This year, you'll come up with $51,000. Because the grand list this year, based on the recent appraisal, is about 1.1 billion.
So we're
Yeah.
suggesting the current plan and the optional plan, it's suggesting we're gonna say that we'll increase it by 51,000.
Well, Dan's suggestion is instead of tying it into the grand list, is to tie it into the CPI.
Right.
Which is another way to go. So that instead of, being 26,000, it would increase by the CPI each year. And that's a possibility as well.
That's why it was just an optional plan. It's
It's
something
just-
to start discussion.
It's just you wanna look at the formula, because the current formula is out of date.
It's out of date, right?
And our ability to implement our own plans.
Well, we don't wanna be where we were just a few years ago. While we started with $1 billion and we spent money through the CIP, it quickly came down to about 400,000 and change.
Right.
And it really, then you're heading into the next year with 400,000 and change, hoping the town will pass the CPI allotment. Because if they don't,
Wow.
how are you gonna do the whole process with $400,000? This was not too many years ago.
Yeah.
No, not too many years ago.
But if,
The
But if they
reasoning was because interest rates were higher.
Yeah.
So we were using cash.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
as
so
interest
they're
rates
getting
go
back
down, you may want to finance. The other reason was you got $1 million in there and you're making $5,000 a year on it. Thank you.
Well, that's a whole issue, which Dan is leading a bit of a charge on, hopefully. And we can perhaps come up with a little better idea.
Like it's been discussed.
the sum of all the fund balances is not
No, no, certainly not, but, it is essentially tax money that comes in, and we do want to be cautious about how we grow that
So-
fund annually.
So
We
in
wanna-
my mind, we cannot have a discussion about how we're gonna fund it without a clear outlook on what it looks like the next 6, 7 years, saying there's a need to change what we're doing.
Well, that's,
Right.
Alyssa has done a very nice spreadsheet right there.
Yes, and that is going to change. And that is actually going to improve a lot.
It's going to improve.
On the numbers we've.
And so we may go along with saying, at least in 26,
No changes.
perhaps no change. But we may also say, but here's what we're thinking of for 27, 28, 29, if anything.
So here's my thinking, I would wait several years. Because everybody is still sour on all buildings and all the tax increases.
Yeah.
You don't change it.
I would say, like other things that we look at, let's kick the can down the road for at least a year. Let's look at the plan next year at this same time
If these
and
numbers.
redecide whether it's still a good idea to keep it. I agree with your suggestion of 26.2 for the year 26.
Right, keep it the same.
But I also think that come September of 26, look at it again.
And because, for example, right, see here, say people go, hey, we're not doing this $2.5 million thing, we don't want to spend $400,000. CIP has absolutely nothing to worry about for the next 4 to 5 years.
We
So
can
I
look at
would,
it.
I would have the discussion when there's a need,
Right,
not just, I know it's eating at us, this is not the right way to do it.
I don't know that we have to at this time define it for future years.
It's number one role in engineering and my
I'd rather wait.
change it.
I'd also would like to wait and see what the undesignated actually has.
Yeah, that's another
Yes,
point.
I
as
agree,
well.
but the rule now is, we're increasing at 26,000.
Mr. Budget Chairman, I would wait at least until we know what the undesignated is. Seeing as 2024 is not closed yet. We don't know what the undesignated is.
And the other influx of revenue that can come into the fund, we can make the sale of Shed Street, Depot Street,
Yeah, but
go
you guys are-
into,
You're already spending it.
No, no.
not necessarily, but we can put it into the capital fund and let it be there. And that increases the fund as well.
No.
Until the time comes to decide.
I don't agree with that.
No,
What's that?
no, I would not do that.
No.
If you're selling the property, it goes against the taxes. I would not put it into a capital reserve.
I would not do it either. I would rather say we're gonna vote to increase the contribution than saying.
Now, I might like to see a new capital reserve. And this is completely off the wall, which is because FEMA's not paying for anything.
FEMA doesn't exist.
Right. I would like to see a capital reserve where we have an amount in there in case there's emergency. And it would be, the number would stay the same.
One of the advantages to putting it in the capital improvement plan reserve is that money is available to expend by the select board. Some other funds require town vote.
Well, I don't have a problem with it, but what I'm saying is I don't have a problem with this.
I recognize your point.
For people to expend.
Yeah, I see your point.
So
I have
is
a
the
problem
undesignated
with, we're
fund.
putting stuff, as far as I'm concerned. CIP was never meant for some of the stuff we're using CIPs for. Including the walk a mile. But all of a sudden, we're starting to use things that. We really were, when we started this 12 years ago, this was not stuff that we were talking about.
No, but I don't think we want to start little individual capital reserve.
No,
funds
that's why I'm saying.
For every little thing.
Because the other problem with FEMA is, if you get a FEMA grant, you still gotta put the cash out front.
Yeah.
And it's 2 or 3 years later before they
Before
pay
you
you.
get a reimbursement. That's right.
So if you've got a $250,000, say, reserve, which is an emergency reserve, it's not using undesignated, because you never know what's gonna happen with undesignated. But you've got a capital reserve sitting there, so that when Oak Grove Street runs into the river, which it's probably gonna do,
Collapses into the river.
you're gonna have to, you're gonna have an emergency.
Well, that's where the TIF fund kicks in, and right now there's 1.5 million sitting in the TIF fund.
Except it's not in the TIF district.
Well, it is in the TIF district. Oak Grove's in the TIF.
Okay,
Oak Grove's in the TIF district. So that's the,
Plan.
but it's not in the TIF plan.
it is, it's actually, I think it's in the TIF plan, isn't it, Ed?
Plan, we put it in last time.
Yeah, the rewrite of the TIF plan, put it in. So
Okay.
that's the backup plan. But Oak Grove is an excellent example
Right,
of something that could happen
just
with a
like
big
that.
rainstorm.
That's not true. You have to, with TIF money, you still have to go through the appropriation process at town meeting.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, excuse me.
However,
can't have
you only had a
So you
year.
can't use the TIF fund in an emergency,
Right,
right?
The only thing you've got is the undesignated.
All you've got is the is the capital reserve.
Right.
The CIP reserve,
The CIP reserve and the capital reserve, same,
same.
Pretty much,
different,
yeah.
okay,
Pretty much,
that's what I
yeah,
thought,
yeah.
but then I'll,
Yeah, same.
okay.
Yeah.
so in theory, you could have a special town meeting if you really needed to use money.
Right,
You could,
you could.
have a special town, other towns do,
We've done it before for things,
Yeah.
but not very
done
often.
a lot of years,
Been a long time.
yeah.
Don't even talk.
But the most straightforward would be to have a public meeting,
Right.
talk about it, and then the select board would be authorized to
To
expend the money.
The money, yeah.
But anything like that would have at least one public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, if, Oak Grove, for example, collapsed, you'd have to look at a number of different ways of funding it. It could be an emergency loan from the bank. It could be a capital reserve.
Where's that located?
Oak Grove is next to the Enfield Garage, across the street from Bruce's Car Wash.
So.
Top is there, the bottom is the,
Lutheran.
Go halfway down the road, there's concrete bunkers on the left lane that aren't blocking the lane right now, but come winter, they're gonna be moved out to the middle of the road again, as they were last winter, because the road's collapsing into the river.
And it's
and-
been fixed once before.
right,
It's been fixed, but it sits right on the edge of the river.
right.
So it's
Is
a
there
tough
a
one.
plan to do anything before it collapses into the river?
I don't see it on the CIP plan.
No,
Sounds like
No,
ports on a bridge.
It's something that, Ed, why don't you weigh in on that one?
It's something we're working on. There's multiple options and we're
Right.
trying to put those together right now to bring those forward to the select board for discussion.
move the Jersey barriers
The
8 feet over.
one possibility, and an actual one, actually, is to turn it into a one-lane road.
Yeah.
Right now, what's collapsing is only the outer lane.
I used to drive that.
If it collapses, it could collapse, and you'd still have a one-lane
Won't
road.
drive it anymore, will it?
So if you had a one-lane road
Yeah.
going one way only, the pressure on the road is gone. There's no physical pressure anymore.
Right.
On the roadway,
Mhm.
and that is one possibility.
Where exactly is the collapse? Is
Halfway down
Halfway right across.
on the
from
riverside.
Yeah.
Directly across from the cemetery.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few options. There's that one-way option. There's an option of closing that section of the road. So we have two kind of dead-end roads there. And then there's the
Yeah.
option of doing some engineering and reinforcing that stream bank. And of course, that's gonna be multi-million dollars to fix that.
Yeah, it's a huge repair. To
So
pull it
I
up,
think the
engineer it.
closing it is gonna lead to more grumblings than one lane. And
There's so few residents on the road, you
Well-
could probably go to one lane.
actually, do you know what you do when you drop off your kids at EVS?
You go down Oak Grove.
You go down Oak Ridge Road because the cops don't let you take a left
right.
and they force you to go right.
Right.
Yeah, and you would still go down Oak Grove.
Go down High Street.
It would still be in that direction of travel.
make it one way that way,
One way down.
down.
It would still be exactly that direction. And in fact, at the tail end of it, for the one house that is there,
Mhm.
you could make that section two-way so he could get into his driveway.
Yep.
So right at the tail end of it, just ahead of his driveway, you put a barrier. He gets to go into his driveway because the last 75 feet is two-way.
Right.
And you solved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one way down. And you don't have to repair it.
Does it require an act of Congress to do that?
No,
Nope,
back to the select board.
nope.
Okay.
That's a simple, That's a simple vote to
I'm only
proceed.
asking because I
Right.
remember that
No,
putting stop signs on that intersection
I
at the
know.
bottom of.
yeah, that was a trade deal with the state.
That was the state deal.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the same as putting the blinker lights at the elementary school. That was a trade deal with the state.
Yeah.
They insisted on getting something out of the deal, you know. But it's not a state road. It's a town road. You could make it look nice by putting up some bollards you don't have to do concrete bunkers. You can throw bollards up the middle and
Yeah.
that would be a permanent installation and you'd simply go downhill. Right after you drop your kids off at school, you still take the left on Oak Grove and you go
Yeah.
downhill, just like always.
I'm only saying that because I know
It's a good point.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's a good point.
Oh, yeah.
it's actually a safer way too for the cops because everybody you come out, if yes, you take a right, everybody go right.
And they don't want you to take the left
Yes.
naturally. Yeah.
Yep.
So you go up another block and you take the left on Oak Grove.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's a safer way to go, no question. Yeah. So it's a solvable thing, but it's something to be aware of.
See you tomorrow.
Okay,
Because there are a number of issues and it's worthy of discussion down the line. All right, I suggest that's an excellent body of work.
yep. I suggest we adjourn.
All right, I
That's called the
second.
motion.
The motion has been called to adjourn. Do I hear a second?
I second.
A second has been heard. Do we hear an aye?
Aye.
Aye, it is.
Okay,
And we thank you all.
yeah.